Ladies and gentlemen, if I can have your attention, please. I'm Anita Huberman. I'm CEO of the Surrey Board of Trade, and welcome to the 4th federal election business town hall with federal party leaders. If you can turn off your cell phones to avoid any interruptions in the program. If you do not want your photo taken, please let the Board of Trade staff know. We are using photos for both internal and external publications. Ladies and gentlemen, for those of you that are not from Surrey, British Columbia, you are in the city that is going to be the largest city in British Columbia. And we are doing everything we can. Absolutely, let's applaud for that. And the Surrey Board of Trade, we are a not-for-profit organization. Our mandate is to support business and bring business into the city. I just returned from St. John, New Brunswick this morning from our Canadian Chamber of Commerce annual general meeting, where we were debating federal government policy. And ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you that Surrey matters in this federal election. And you are going to have a chance to ask questions from the floor from our keynote speaker this morning. But just before I introduce him, I just wanted to acknowledge that the land on which we gather is the traditional and unceded territory of our Coast Salish people, specifically the Kwantlen, Katzie, Semiahmoo, and Tawasin First Nations. We could not have events like this without our business and international trade center sponsors, where we support business if they're starting up or they need business support, or if they need trade documentation or global business connections. They are the law firm of Fasken, the accounting firm of PwC, and the Chambers of Commerce Group Insurance Plan from S&F Benefits. It's going to be a lively event this morning for sure. I also wanted to recognize some of our board directors. Rowena Rosati is in the crowd, as well as our governor, Dave Hare. Let's give them a great round of applause, please. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to ask you to please stand very shortly to introduce our keynote speaker this morning. He has had a long-standing interest in business and during his career worked for several financial and banking institutions before becoming Executive Vice President of the Montreal Economic Institute in 2005. He was elected MP for Beas on January 23, 2006, with the largest majority outside Alberta. He was appointed to Cabinet on February 6, 2006, as Minister of Industry. Mr. Bernier also served as Minister of Foreign Affairs. He was re-elected and then appointed as Minister of State for Small Business and Tourism. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for Maxime Bernier.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'm very, very happy, very pleased to be here. Yes, it's a nice city, a nice country, and a great time for us, great time for our country. And I just want to let you know that we started that journey a long time ago, last September. That was a long journey, a beautiful one, a challenging one, and I can tell you that I'm very honored and happy that we were successful to build a political party, a new political party at the federal level. We are the fastest growing political party in Canada history. And we did not do that alone. I don't know if you remember that, but last September, some journalists were saying, you know, that's a one-man show. Bernier won't be able to have candidates everywhere in this country. You know, after a couple of months, that will be the end of the People's Party. But they were wrong. They were wrong because of you and because of our ideas. We built a party based on 4 principles: individual freedom, personal responsibility, respect, and fairness. And we decided not to do any compromise with our principle. That's a new way of doing politics. It may be risky. And when I'm traveling across the country, I have people who ask me, usually it's the first or second questions when I'm doing a rally, what will you do for our city? What will you do for our province? And my answer is always the same. I won't do anything special for your province. I won't do anything special for your city. Our platform is good for every region in this country, for every city in this country. And that's the way to do politics. We have a strong platform that would be good for all Canadians. But we were able to build that because also of our memberships and Canadians that are ready to look at a new alternative. When I'm looking at the poll, 52% of the population are saying that they're ready to vote for a new party at the federal level. But our biggest challenge, maybe half of them don't know that we exist. But when they know that we exist, when they have an opportunity to speak to one of our candidates, and they know and understand our platform, it's easy for us to have their support. And that's my goal today, that's my goal during the election, to speak about what we believe with our candidates. And I want to thank our candidates all across the country. A lot of them are new in politics, and it can be tough. And you know, it's a real sport being a politician. But I'm ready, you know, I'm in shape, I like to run, that's my sport. I'll tell you an anecdote about running. I was in my riding actually 2 weeks ago, and I did door-to-door like our candidate. And one of person asked me, Maxime, are you still running? I said, yes, I'm still running. Not 6 days a week, but maybe 4 days a week. And they know in my riding that I like to run, and I did 106 kilometers in 12 hours to raise money for a food bank over there. And we raised $160,000 in 1 day. So people in my... So people in my riding know that I like to run. So the guy said, you know, are you running every morning? Yes, every morning. And it's a lot of, you know, you have to put that in your agenda. I said, yes. And, you know, I told him, and I won't say that again. I told him, yeah, I like to run. And I had, that was maybe my mistake. I said, you know, I like to run because it's a way to manage my stress. And the guy looked at me and said, oh my God, you must be stressed. No, I'm not stressed. I like to do it, and it's my way to relax. So now I'm saying that. It's my way to relax. But it is important to have a balanced life. But our candidates also, it's new for them. And a lot of them are new in politics. And they are there to fight for you, to fight for what they believe. And I'm very, very proud of them. We were able to have, I think up to now, we have 325 candidates all across the country. And a lot of them are here today. I want to thank you very much. and it's a lot of work, it's a big commitment, and they're ready to do that for you. But we don't have only 325 candidates up to now. We have also riding associations in every riding, so that's important. And with our 40,000 members, we are a real national political party. And I can tell you that the challenge, like I said in the beginning, people must know our platform. But we will have a great opportunity. I will have a great opportunity because, as you know, I'll be part of the debate. And I'll be out there, debates with the other leaders and asking the real questions. And I will answer a question also. That will be very different. And you know, we have people who, like the NDP leader, said that, you know, I must not be there. But we're in Canada, a strong democracy. And we must have the right to say what we believe in. And we call that in our country free speech, yes. And if I'm saying something that you don't like, it's okay. Freedom of speech is not saying something that you want to hear. It's sometimes say things that you don't like, and like that we'll have a real debate. And with a real debate, we'll have the best solution and the best policies for our country. And that's why I'm ready to debate. And when people are calling name at us, for me, it's because they're weak. They're weak. They don't want to have a discussion, and we're ready to have that discussion. We're ready to have a discussion on immigration. We're ready to have a discussion on climate change. We're ready to have a discussion on balancing the budget and how we will balance the budget. It's easy to say, oh, I will balance the budget in 2 years. But we are saying to Canadians how we will do it. And, you know, in my speeches, I'm putting the Liberals and the Conservative in the same basket. They're in the same basket, and I can go on a lot of policies that they share the same vision. They're in the same basket on balancing the budget. Andrew Scheer said when he was running for the leadership of the Conservative Party of Canada 3 years ago, because I did pledge to the future generation that I will balance the budget in 2 years, Andrew Scheer said, oh, it's very popular, I will do the same thing. And he did the same thing. He pledged that he will balance the budget in 2 years. After that, when he became the leader of the Conservative Party of Canada, he said the same thing. I will balance the budget in 2 years. And you may remember, every day in the House, he was asking Justin Trudeau, you know, the budget cannot balance itself. When will you balance the budget? And Mr. Trudeau was not answering the question. And now Andrew Scheer is doing like Justin Trudeau. He said here in BC a couple of weeks ago that he won't be able to balance the budget in 2 years. It's too tough. And he will have to it will take him 5 years. So he's running to be the Prime Minister of Canada and for having a 4-year term, and he's saying something that he's going to do the next term, you know. He's running for this election, an election cycle, it's 4 years. So he won't balance the budget in 4 years, like he said he will do that in 5 years. But I can help him a little bit to be more courageous and try to balance the budget. We can give him some ideas. You know, we can cut corporate welfare. We'll save $5 billion there. And sometimes I have questions from journalists saying, oh, Maxime, maybe the entrepreneurs in this country won't be happy. Maybe the business sector won't be happy. And the answer is no. That's the fair policy. That's a fair policy for every entrepreneur in this country. Because, you know, our entrepreneurs, don't have time to pay a lobbyist in Ottawa to have a big subsidies like SNC-Lavalin or GM or Bombardier. They're too busy. They're too busy to create wealth and jobs in this country. And they know that it is unfair. It is unfair to force a small business entrepreneur here and asking him or her to pay taxes, and after that the federal government will give that to SNC-Lavalin, Bombardier, or GM. A fair policy, it is to abolish all that and having a flat tax on business at 10% for everybody. And at the same time, we can also abolish the capital gains tax in this country. So that it is policy that will bring more growth, more investment in this country. But Justin Trudeau and Andrew Scheer, they don't have the courage to do that. Actually, Andrew Scheer wants to be more efficient at delivering subsidies to businesses. You know, he wants to pick the winner and all the other one will be loser. You know, it's not fair. He wants a Quebec minister to be in charge of the Quebec agency that is giving subsidies to businesses. And he wants a minister from Atlantic Canada to be in charge of the department that will give subsidies to businesses in Atlantic Canada. We just want to abolish this agency and we will give more money to the entrepreneur and it would be fair for everybody. So that's the policy, to be able to have lower taxes and balancing the budget. But also, we can cut foreign aid. $2.3 billion that we're giving to African countries to fight climate change. $2.3 billion. We can save money there. We can save money there. But yes, we are generous as Canadians. Yes, if there's an environmental disaster somewhere, we will be there to help. And if there is a humanitarian crisis, we will be there to help. But not to build roads and bridges and pipelines in Asia. We need to help our people first. And as you know, but they don't have the courage to speak about that. So I can go on and go on how to save some money. But Andrew Scheer said in November last year that under his leadership, the Conservative Party of Canada is now, and listen to that, I'm quoting him, a centrist, pragmatic political party with lots of ideas for a lot of people. So, translation, I don't have any vision for this country. I don't know what I believe in. Tell me what you want to hear and I will repeat it. And I hope that I will be able to buy votes with your own money. So, you need to do politics based on conviction and ideas, and that's why we were able to build this party. I'm not popular. Our candidates are not popular. Our ideas are popular. People are coming because of our ideas. And we know that we have the best ideas. When we speak about freedom and personal responsibility and respect and fairness, these are Canadian values and values coming from the Western civilization and Western countries. And we build this country together. And we want to promote that. And our goal is to speak about what we believe. The more we speak about what we believe, the more support we'll have. And speak with passion and with conviction, and we'll be able to have more support. And that's what I'm asking you today. I'm asking you, be out there, speak to your friends, your family about our platform. And yes, have a discussion on immigration. This country has been built by Francophone, Anglophone, First Nation, Inuits, and immigrants coming from Europe, from Africa, from Asia. And they came here to share our values because they know that they will have more freedom, they will have more opportunities, and that's our country. We must be proud of that. And they came here under a point system, and that was good. And they came here to help us to build this country and we did it together. But you know, when we're speaking about no more mass immigration, what it is mass immigration? What is the definition of mass immigration? It's only a number: 350,000 legal immigrants a year. In 3 years, it will be 1 million people. It's the population of Nova Scotia. And 350,000 a year, every year, if you look at that number per capita, if you look with what other countries, how many immigrants the other countries are receiving per capita, at 350,000 a year, Canada will receive more legal immigrants than any other Western societies, more than the US, more than all the European countries. But at 150,000 a year, that's our number. If you do a comparison with other countries per capita, we receive the same level of immigrants than the US and than the European countries. So we're not anti-immigration, but we're not for mass immigration. But our challenge right now, only 26% of the 310,000 immigrants this year, only 26% are economic immigrants. A person that will come here because we need her or his knowledge and skill, and that person, it's only 26% of our immigrants that are coming here that are economic immigrants. We need more than 26%. So yes, we'll have fewer immigrants, 150,000 every year, but we'll have 50% of them will be economic immigrants, and they will help us to build this country. And that's what we need. That's what we need. Actually, right now, we receive absolute number, more refugees, absolute number, more refugees than the US, 10 times bigger than us. More refugees than all European countries. So we need to stop that. But the problem is, we don't receive the real refugees that are waiting in a country where their life is in danger. And that's not Canadian. We need to help the refugees that needs our help. The one that are waiting somewhere, not the one that are crossing our border in my own province in Quebec at the Roxham Road. 45,000 of them for the last 2 years. And the cost for our society, it's $350 million. But 40% of them, just listen that, 40% of them, 40% of the 45,000, 40% of them will have to be deported. And it's not me who's saying that. It's the Department of Immigration, because they are not real refugees. But they will have to be deported in a couple of years from now. That will be very difficult, because maybe they will have kids, and the kids will be at school. That will be tough to do that. That won't be. So why not fixing the problem right now? And we have a solution to fix the problem. And our solution will have a fence at the Roxham Road, just there. But instead of our RCMP officers being there and telling them, yes, you can cross illegally our border, you can come to Canada, we'll have our RCMP officer on the other side of the fence, and they will tell them, you want to come to Canada? You will come, but not here. Just cross the border over there, where everybody is crossing the border at an official port of entry, and you'll be welcome. We'll ask them to cross the border where everybody is crossing the border. And they're gonna they're gonna do that, and we'll ask them, if they said, I'm a refugee, so, okay, you're coming from the US, your life is not in danger, you cannot cross the border. And like that, we'll be able to help the real refugees. So that's a discussion that we must have. And our opponent don't want us to have that discussion. We're a democracy, and all other countries around the world are having that discussion. why we want to have that discussion right now? Because we love this country and we want our country to be like that in 25 years. And we need more workers in this country. You know, we need more workers, people, but not only 26%. Like I said, 50% of them must be economic immigrants. So let's have that discussion. And I can tell you, I'm ready to have that discussion. I'm ready to have that discussion with Jagmeet Singh at the debate. That will be interesting. And we'll see what he's gonna say. Yes, and if he's saying that, my answer will be, okay, if I'm a racist, 49% of Canadians are racist also, because 49% of Canadians want fewer immigrants, and only 6% of them want more immigrants. So I'm not the only one. I must not be the problem. And, you know, the difference with us and the other political party, it's we believe in people. We don't believe in a big fat government in Ottawa that will tell you what to do and that will interfere in provincial jurisdiction. You know, here in BC, you have a housing challenge. I understand that. And it can be easy for me to say, like other political, hey, I will fix it, like other political leaders, that I will fix it. But it's mostly a provincial jurisdiction, and we want to respect provincial jurisdiction. So what I'm saying for your housing challenge here in BC and in Vancouver, you know, 41% of our immigrants are going to Toronto and Vancouver. So if you have fewer of them, that won't put a bigger pressure on the housing market. So that's part of them. There's also all the regulation at the provincial level and municipal level that can help to solve that problem. But also, we can give you more of your money in your own pocket. And yes, if the price of a house is very high, if you have more of your own money, you'll be able, it will be a little bit more easier for you to buy your first house. That's why we have a tax reform with two tax rates, one at 15% for earnings more than $15,000 up to $100,000, and another one at 25% for earnings more than $100,000. So it's fair for everybody. And for the poor, they won't pay an income tax if your earning or salary is less than $15,000 a year. So it's a fair policy. Instead of 5 tax rate, we're going to have 2 tax rate, and you'll have more money. And the cost of that, it's $35 billion. So Canadians will save $35 billion. But, you know, we need to do that to lower your taxes, because you'll be able to buy what you want to buy or invest or save some money. But we are responsible. I don't want to give you a tax break and creating a deficit. It is not responsible. So that's why our first plan is to tackle the deficit. We're going to be able to do that in 2 years. And after that, with all the surplus, it will go to lower your taxes. So instead of being like the other politician, telling you, I will give you that and that and that, but I don't know where I will take the money, maybe increasing the deficit, maybe no. We're doing the opposite. We're telling Canadians, I will cut that, that, and that, and I will balance the budget. And after that, yes, this is my tax reform. We'll have fiscal room. We'll have more money. The business sector will create growth, because our first budget will be pro-growth, pro-investment. And so less regulation, lower taxes. And so we'll be able to do that by cutting in the beginning, in the first budget, the capital gains tax. So business people will have a more incentive to invest. And so the economic growth will be there, will be our job to cut the spending. And after that, we'll be able to lower taxes to everybody in one mandate. So that's our vision of the country. But some journalists are saying, oh, Maxime, yeah, you have some cuts, and we can save money, and we can save money also with the CBC. There's $1 billion there. So, so, and if they're so good, they will be like PBS in the state, and people will pay to have access to the CBC. So we call that freedom of choice and free markets. So that being said, but I just want to go back to the Chrétien-Martin government, because journalists are saying, oh, it's very tough to balance the budget. The next deficit will be about $20 billion. But the Chrétien-Martin government in 1995, we had a deficit of $30 billion, not $20 billion, $30 billion deficit. In today's money, it's about $43 billion. That was the deficit in 1995. They were able to balance the budget in 2 years, and in 1997, they had a surplus of $3 billion. So we are able, if you tackle the expenses and have a plan, it's doable to balance the budget in 2 years. So now Justin Trudeau is like Andrew Scheer, and Andrew Scheer is like Justin Trudeau. They're not able to do that in 4 years. So Justin Trudeau is not the liberal that we used to know under Chrétien Martin, that was fiscally responsible. No, he's like Andrew Scheer. They're not fiscally responsible. But why is it so important to tackle the deficit? Because right now, the interest on our debt, it is $26 billion a year. Imagine what we can do with $26 billion. So we need to tackle that. The interest rate will go up a day, and the interest on our debt will be bigger than $26 billion. So we need to fix that. But the most important, it's unfair for future generation, because 80% of our deficit, it's on social program, not on road and infrastructure and bridge. So the future generations will have to pay for that without receiving any benefits, because we didn't spend our deficit on infrastructure. The majority of the spending is on social program. So it's unfair. They will have to pay for our quality of life of today. So we need to fix that. But at the same time, we understand that if you want to help the youth and the future generation, you must be responsible. And right now, we're the only political party that is responsible. We'll be able to do that. And for them, they know, and we know, that the deficits of today are the taxes of tomorrow. And we need to balance the budget to preserve our social programs. And that's why it's so important. We like our social program and that they're important, but we need to preserve them. And the way to do that is to have a house in order. The credit card in Ottawa is full. We cannot spend for the next 4 years. So that's a main message. That's an important one. Plus, I think people would judge us by our platform. And I want to tell you, don't hesitate to speak with our candidates and to go on our website, the People's Party of Canada, and look at our platform. You know, what I'm telling you, yes, okay, 2 minutes, okay. What I'm telling you, it is not a slogan, and it is not buzzword. It is real policy. And I'm appealing to your intelligence, because I'm asking you to read our policies, and I'm asking you to go on our website, and also the Conservative Party of Canada website, the Liberals Party website, and look at their platform. It will be only one paragraph. I will do something. Our platform on every subject is 2 pages, and we are saying this is the issue, this is the facts, and this is our solution. And that's why sometimes, there's no taboo subject for us. We need to have discussion about the issues that are important for the future of this country, and we are ready to have that discussion with Canadians. So I'm starting that discussion, and I think that the 21st of October, I think we'll have a huge surprise. And I'm asking, thank you. And I will end with that. I'm asking you to vote for your values. Vote for what you believe in. Vote for something, not against something. And that's very important. And doing that, we can have a freer and a more prosperous country. Thank you. Thank you. Merci.
So, ladies and gentlemen, if you do have a question, please approach the microphone, indicate your name, keep your question or comment very brief, and Maxime has also agreed to keep his responses very brief as well. I'm just going to start out with a couple of my own queries, Maxime. This is our 4th town hall with federal party leaders. We're a nonpartisan business organization, and we're a border city here in Surrey. And if you become prime minister, how would you deal with the president of the United States?
Yeah, thanks. You want me to be short? Yes, first of all, the most important is we need to have a real free trade and a free trade agreement with the US. About 75% of our products are exported in the US. So that's important. It's too bad right now that we don't have that agreement. It's not signed in the US and in Canada. And the way to deal with President Trump on that is to be sure that, President Trump was asking for us to abolish our cartel in milk, dairy, and poultry. And because what? He wanted his producers to be able to export their milk, poultry, and eggs in our country. But Justin Trudeau and all the other leaders said note about that. I'm saying yes to that. So we'll start a new discussion by being able to give them what they want, but we're not doing that to please Donald Trump. We're doing that for our Canadian consumers because every Canadian family will save $400 after the abolition of that cartel. So that's a way to start the negotiation, and we will start that on a win-win proposal.
Thank you. And just one more question from me is that Surrey is a small and medium-sized business community. We feel overburdened by taxes. Canada's tax code in itself, not only in doing business nationally, but also internationally, is very complex. Would you agree with the Royal Commission on Canada's tax system to simplify our tax code?
So you're asking for a commission that will look at it?
Yes.
We don't need a commission, we'll do it. We'll do it. No more boutique tax credit. It will be simple, two tax bracket. Like I said, 15 and 25%, and on business, it will be simple, a flat tax at 10%. So yes, it will be easy. We'll do it, and we won't need to do more consultation on that.
Okay, thank you. To the microphone.
Hi, thank you so much for speaking, and thank you for your message. It's amazing that being sensible these days takes courage, and you do that well. My question is regarding the banks. Mark Carney, you've been in politics a long time. You've had the opportunity to actually question him. Recently at the Jackson Hole, Mark Carney went through the details of the Climate Initiative Fund. Lots of other proposals, but the Climate Initiative Fund in particular.
You could just get to your question.
Mike Carney is the head of the
Bank of England.
Bank of England.
He used to be the
He's
head
the
of the
governor of the
Bank
Bank of England, and he used to be the governor of the Bank of Canada.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry. So my question really is: have the banks been beneficial for small, medium-sized businesses in Canada? And I guess what is your policy?
Okay. So yeah, I'll be brief. The Bank of Canada is an independent organization. Politicians cannot deal with the monetary policy. It has to be independent, and that's okay. But every 5 years, the government of Canada signed an agreement with the Bank of Canada on the inflation target. And the last deal that the government had with the Bank of Canada for 5 years was the government of Canada was asking the Bank of Canada to have an inflation target of 2%. For us, inflation, and the reality, inflation, it is a hidden tax. You don't see that tax because the $1 that you have in your pocket, if you have inflation, you won't be able to buy the same amount of goods and services with the same dollar. Since the creation of the Bank of Canada with inflation, I think the creation was around 1936, maybe 1933, I don't remember the date, but around 1936, something like that. The dollar of 1936, the value of that dollar today is about 10 cents because of the inflation. So when you have inflation, it is hurting your purchasing power. So for us and for the economists, inflation is a hidden tax. So a 20% inflation is not good. A 25% inflation is not good. A 2% inflation is not good also. The target must be 0% inflation, and like that you will keep your purchasing power.
Good morning, Max. I've got a comment on one and a question about another. First thing is corporate welfare. I'm thinking that it shouldn't be corporate welfare, it should be a corporate loan to help Canadian businesses if they need it. Once you give them the loan, Canada becomes a part ownership in that company. They have a person on the board of directors to keep an eye on their money, and it remains that way until the loan is paid off when they get full ownership. The other thing after that is tax-free capital gains.
Yeah.
How will that apply to a homeowner who has an increase in value of their house? Do they lose that tax-free status?
No.
It's just for corporations?
No, it's for everybody.
Everybody.
If you have a cottage, a house, or you have share in the stock market, when you are selling that and there's a capital gain, you won't pay any tax on that. So that's for everybody. So that's important. And about the other proposal that you said in the beginning, that's not the role of the government to give loan to corporation. The private sector is there for that.
Yeah, so well, it would only be it wouldn't be a giveaway. It wouldn't be welfare that they never have to repay.
Thank you so much, sir. We're going to move on to the next question, please.
Great. I want to thank you. You're a very good educator. You speak really clearly and simply. I love that.
That's because of my English. I don't have a lot of.
I love it.
I don't have a lot of vocabulary.
My thought is actually for the generations and the different generations listening to you when you're speaking, particularly about the budget.
Yeah.
Our schools don't exactly prepare people to understand how budgets actually work, how a nation really works financially. Wondering if in your presentation you're able to educate the other half of the generation just a little tiny bit more to prepare to understand the impact of what your values really are. I think that would be amazingly helpful.
Yeah, thanks for the question. I think, education is a provincial jurisdiction, but I wish that in the curriculum they can teach a little bit more about financial literacy and budget. But as a politician at the federal level, we cannot influence the education system. It's a provincial matters. Yeah. But when I'm speaking, I try to explain that. And the more I'm meeting people, I'm always trying to explain that, if you spend money, you don't create wealth by spending money. We know that. We create wealth by investing. But the government, when they have a crisis or economic crisis, they will spend money that they don't have to create wealth. You cannot spend your way on prosperity. If spending is the solution for prosperity, why Zimbabwe is not a rich country? They're spending a lot of money and they have a lot of inflation. Spending is not the solution. You need to invest. So yes, if we have an economic crisis in Canada, we won't spend to boost the economy because that's the opposite. Spending, it is not a stimulus for the economy. It is a sedative for the economy. So we need to invest, and that's why we need to be sure that people will be able to invest. And I'm saying invest, it's not the government, it's the private sector that must invest. Thanks.
So what we're going to do is just take questions from the floor, keep it very succinct. Maxime is going to jot them down and then respond to all of them following the conclusion.
So we're taking this three more?
We have 4 more.
4 more, okay.
Possibly. So you, sir.
Yeah, I've got kind of a weird question for you there, Mr. Bernier. I'm here not because I'm necessarily sold or anything like that, but I'm trying to get a sense of like everything that you said, everything that I've researched. It sounds great, but I don't trust any of them anymore, right? And so I've got the question that I want to ask you is one I know the answer to from practically every other politician in the world, and that is, what do you see Donald Trump as doing any good for the United States? What has he done that you think is good? What is good about him? If you can tell me. No, it's not a question about Canadians, but it is a question about you. I want to hear an honest answer as opposed to a politician answer. It can't all be bad, right? So.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
To you, sir.
Max, my name is Nick Chaucer. I'm actually your candidate in Mission Massacre Fraser Canyon, about 45 minutes east. I'm here today because I can't meet you tonight in Vancouver. I actually have my first debate tonight at UFV,
Good.
an all-candidates debate. I'm new to the political arena, and you being an experienced man, give me some advice before I head in there tonight.
Okay. To you, sir.
This is a question about sovereignty.
About,
Sovereignty.
yeah, okay.
We know what our Prime Minister thinks about sovereignty and how he's bowing the knee to the UN and global government issues. We're dealing with a global government war right now about sovereignty trying to be removed everywhere. Would you talk to us about your view of Canadian sovereignty and the United Nations?
Okay.
Hello, Mr. Bernier. It's the first time I've been able to support a leader and have with full respect, even where I disagree with it. But I'm not talking about disagreement now. I'm talking about tax fairness. I did some work on it a little while ago on the income tax system. And I found, this is in 2012, that the Act itself, the Enabling Act, and the Civil Service Regulations amount to 2,500 pages of incredibly dense texts and tables. It includes references to other pieces of legislation. And it also includes 19 general notwithstandings. I don't have to be a lawyer to know that that act is unenforceable. And it's totally unfair. And if you've got better lawyers than the CRA can put up, you're going to negotiate your own rates. So when we're going to talk about tax fairness, I think we have to tackle the tax system itself as expressed in these acts. Thanks.
Okay. And to you.
Thank you, Max, for doing what you're doing. I appreciate you. You took a stand, and I think that's very important. My question is, you talk about private investments. So my question is, would you open a platform for people wanting to invest into cryptocurrency as an investment? Because it is a force to contend with. It's not going away. It's going to grow. Are you prepared for that? And if so, just elaborate on that, if you would, please.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
And second to last question, because I'm going to get the last question. Oh, you want more? Okay. I get the last question anyways. You go.
Hello. Thank you for you listening to me. I'm 60 years old, and here's another thing that I find. It's about employment. I've been unemployed for 3-4 months, and I've done interviews and that, and I get age discrimination. Very big time. I mean, oh, you're overqualified, or we found someone else. I can't get a job. And it frustrates me no how, because I got a wife, 2 kids, and I like to work, but I can't work. So I'm going to go out in the street with a sign and say, can you help me and give me a job? I mean, I've done Indeed. I got over 200 resumes I sent out. I've done interviews. When it comes down, shush.
Maybe that's for a job.
No,
You must answer it.
no, it's not, unfortunately. It's
Your question, sir, please.
My question is, what can we do about like I'm 60, and as seniors, I'm still capable of working on a pipe layer. I'm a Class 3 driver, a laborer, commercial concrete, and I want to work, but I can't because I get age discriminated against. You get 20-year-olds, oh, we could train them in their own way, but they don't know safety and values and morals. But here, I know too much about safety, values, and morals. They're scared that I might take their job. I just want to go get a paycheck.
So opportunities for everyone, right?
Yes, and at our age, it's a little different. Maybe I should dye my hair black.
Yeah.
All right,
Okay,
thank you
thank
very
you.
much.
To you, ma'am.
Okay, I just wanted to ask about the human rights tribunals and the amount of power that is growing within these kangaroo courts to take innocent people and charge them enormous amounts of money. And what, if anything, can the federal government do to regulate this or turn this around?
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Maxime, just one more to add to your list. In Surrey, we're of course going to be the largest city in British Columbia. We've been starved of transportation investments, not only in our city, but also in Metro Vancouver. There is a call by our Mayor's Council, there's 21 cities in Metro, for sustainable transportation investments by the federal government, and I'm sure that's a usual call by all cities across Canada. What is your perspective on transportation?
Okay,
Thank you.
great. Merci, thank you. So the first one on Donald Trump, you know, I'm doing politics in Canada. I'm a Canadian politician, and you know, if you ask me, the politician that I admired was Margaret Thatcher. And why Margaret Thatcher? Because when she became in power, you know, in UK, that was very socialist over there, and she fought for her ideas and her conviction. And she said something that I really, for me, I really appreciate, and I look at her video that she did after politics, that she said, you know, I don't like the word consensus. You don't do any consensus on your principles, and a politician must speak about conviction, and the role of the politician must be to convince people about their values and the ideas that they believe in, and she did that for UK. So if I'm looking at a model as a politician, for me it is Margaret Thatcher. So, for the debate, first of all, yes, be ready to debate, and that's important. I'll be ready also to debate myself the 7 and 10 of October with the other leaders. But be ready, know our platform, but also, if there's a question and you don't have the answer, just tell it. We don't know everything. Just tell it, you know. It's a good point. I don't know the answer on that. I'll do my research and I'll come back to the Chamber of Commerce in a day or two from now. Just be honest, and we cannot know everything, and just tell that. And maybe you're saying something, and in the debate, if you're saying something that after that, you know, it was a mistake and you didn't think about that, just be honest, and the day after, being from the press, and you know, I said that in the debate, I didn't want to say that, that was a mistake, and blah, blah, and really, I believe that and that. Just be honest. I think people are tired with political correctness, and they know that we are human. And the best preparation for you for the debate, it is usually you'll know the themes of the debate, and you'll be able to read our platform on our themes and what we believe and what we promote. But also, you want to be the member of parliament for your riding. And so I'm telling you that for you, there's a lot of freedom. So if you want to take a position and say, you know, that subject is very important for me, as a member of parliament for your riding, it is not part of our platform, but I will table a bill on that subject, because you have the right, when you are a member of parliament, to table private member bills on any subject. So you can say that, you know, it's not part of our platform, but it's part of my commitment for you. it is important. It is something that concerns our riding. So my goal is to do that about it and table a bill on that subject. So we want you to be able to listen to your people, and if because our platform is for the country, and sometimes you have some difference in certain writings, and you can take some precise position on something. Just be responsible. So that will be my advice to you. And don't be afraid to make a mistake, and just be yourself. Sovereignty in the UN. Yes, we won't sign the Paris Accord, so the UN won't impose their vision, but also the migration, UN Migration Compact. You know, I was the first politician to say no about it. And the most interesting, Justin Trudeau was saying, and the Liberals were saying, you know, oh, we're going to sign that, but it is not binding. So why signing an agreement if you don't want to follow the agreement? So, you know, so we won't sign that because migration, it is not normal. We want these people to be able to stay in their country safely. And so our role is to be sure that these governments over there will have more freedom policies and believe in people and in freedom. And so that's our role. And so we don't believe in a supranational organization that will tell us what to do. So our sovereignty is so important, and a little bit like in UK with Brexit, you know, they have the European Commission over there, and the European Commission was telling people in UK and the UK government what to do. They wanted to keep their sovereignty, and it's the same thing here. Yes, we will sign free trade agreements with other countries, and that's okay, but having a supranational organization that will tell us what to do, no.
We have 5 minutes.
Okay, the tax system is unfair, and that's why we want to change the tax system. There are some loopholes in the tax system. You know, the first income tax in Canada in 1916, something like that. If you look and you find it, the tax legislation was only 16 pages. And so right now it is more than that. Yes, we want to simplify the tax system, being more fair, and also putting more resources for the CRA, that they will be able to look at people who don't respect the tax system. So that must be important also. Cryptocurrency, you know, it's a free market. If people want to buy cryptocurrency, that's okay. We want, you know, cryptocurrency exists right now. People will have the choice, and we won't have anything special on cryptocurrency. It's there, and it will grow or not, depending of the market and people. Human Rights Tribunal, absolutely. You know, we had a discussion in Ottawa just before the election. A parliamentary committee voted to look at a new definition of hate speech and to put that in legislation. And the Human Rights Commission will be in charge of the interpretation of hate speech. So for us, there's one interpretation of hate speech. It is the one in the criminal code, and we don't need a new legislation on that. And we don't need these human rights tribunals, but they're provincial, at the provincial level. So, but we have one at the federal level, and I think we must abolish that one for sure. Yeah, transportation infrastructure. It's a good question, and it's a question actually that we have in Quebec right now. In Quebec, the provincial government wants to build a bridge between the south shore of Quebec and the north shore of Quebec. They call that the third link between, because there's two bridges and they want to build another one, or a tunnel, I don't know. And they were asking me, do you ready to put some federal money for that? And Quebec is just near my riding. I said no. and I said that in an interview at a radio station in Quebec. I said it's not fair to tax a person from BC and to use that taxes to build a local road in Quebec. And it is not fair to tax a person in Quebec and to use his or her taxes to build a local road here in BC. So the transportation, the local roads are under the jurisdiction of the provincial government. But yes, on infrastructure we have a role, but for national infrastructure, trans-Canadian infrastructure, not local roads. So the challenge that you have here, that must be dealt at the provincial level and at the municipal level. And I'm not running to be the mayor of Surrey, and I'm not running to be the premier of BC. I'm running to be the Prime Minister of Canada. So, but that infrastructure fund, I just want to give you some history about that. Okay, I'm finishing on that. Chrétien and Martin, when they had a surplus, the Liberal government, when they had a surplus, they wanted to buy votes. And they used the surplus to create an infrastructure fund. And they came here in BC and in Quebec. You want a road over there? We have a fund for that. We have surplus and we're going to give you some money. They used that to buy votes. But that was not their jurisdiction. So what we want to do with surplus, to give you more of your money in your pockets, and at the same time, right now, we don't have any surplus. We have a deficit. So the federal government and our position is to abolish that infrastructure fund and just spending money on national infrastructure. And when we'll have surplus, we won't have another fund to buy votes in some region. We will give you more of your money. And if your provincial government doesn't have enough money to build a road, they will be able to tax you for that. If it's so important, they will do it. So that's our position on that. National infrastructure, national money. Local infrastructure, local money. Yes, and for job opportunities, the last one, for job opportunities, yes, I want the private sector to be able to create jobs and wealth. And my job as a running for office, it is to let the private sector to be able to offer you the job that you need, and doing that by less regulation, like you said in the beginning, lower taxes, and having a more dynamic economy that will help the private sector to create the jobs that we need for Canadians. So merci. Thank you very much. I hope I was not too long.
So Maxime, did we respond to your question, sir?
What is your...
I don't, it doesn't matter to me what your opinion of the man is. That's over here.
Okay, what do you want to know?
Do you see him as having done any good for the country?
For the US? I'm not an American. I won't judge him, and I don't have time to look at what he's doing. I'm doing politics in Canada. I'm so busy to travel across the country. So...
So, ladies and gentlemen, the Surrey Board of Trade's All Candidates Forum featuring Surrey candidates is on the evening of October 2nd at 5:30 p.m. right here at the Sheraton Hotel. And many of your candidates are featured that night as well. And thank you so much for visiting Surrey, making Surrey a priority. Another round of applause, please.
Merci.